Well, hi and welcome to Chapter 13. And Chapter 13 gets into making your website responsive, and that basically includes images and that type of thing. And again, responsive is as your screen shrinks to the size of the device you're on, whether it's a smartphone or a tablet or a computer, the screen needs to automatically fit that device. So if we take a look at this first example in the book here, it talks about scaling images. So if we were to have a style that had a max width of 100% and the height was auto, well, as you can see here, here is the screen shrunk down to 62.5%, and here it is shrunk down to 31.25%. As you can see that the text will shrink as well and kind of go to a single column, and so will that picture as well. It kind of show an example. I created a website, I created a page that does just that. If I double click on this, I have a picture here that has that same exact setting. It's got image 100% wide and height is auto. And as I resize this screen, you'll see that picture will shrink and grow to the screen. And actually will get to a certain point and won't be able to reduce any further. And that really makes the web page responsive. Now the problem is the size of the image. Okay, we have to really kind of deal with that sort of thing. So what we can do is we can do an image, comma, video, comma, object, and that will work for any one of those types of items as well. It says we can use the same technique for videos. All you have to do is basically put that in there as well. So just a comma, video, comma, object. Background images are different. We're going to cover that in the next chapter. So let's get into this particular image right here. So here we've got an image of a gal who's climbing a rock, and we can see that here it is at 250 by 375. It's 145 kilobytes. Here it is at 320 by 480, 223 kilobytes, and here we are at 512 by 766, which is 503 kilobytes. Okay, so what we really need to think about is we talk about the raster, and basically what is raster? Well, if I go out to Google, probably the best way to explain it is what is picture raster. So when we look at it, so here is the original size of the image, and when we zoom it out, we can actually see all those little square pixels. That's called the raster. And so these are the things we really want to avoid. Is if I made that picture very small to fit a cell phone, a smartphone, and then I basically zoomed in because of my responsiveness, it would look like that. The raster would get pretty bad and would just be worthless to even try to look at. So how do we get past this? Well, so again, let's take a look at these pictures and talking about the pixel display and the file size. This is the big one right here. Now, one of the things we really have to think about when we're dealing with the different portable devices is what type of download speeds do they currently have. So and that's kind of what they're trying to show you here is, you know, here's a small size, here it is brought up bigger, same thing here, and same thing here. So again, internet speed and download speeds, huge concern when we're dealing with different types of images. So what we need to do is use an adaptive situation. Well, we talked about this in a previous chapter. The SVG format takes up very little space because it's all data. And it's data that says, hey, you're going to put this color here, you're going to this type of pattern, you're going to have this color. So it's all data. So SVGs are really easy, and they shrink and grow, and they're very responsive. So if you can get an SVG, by all means use it. Well, most of us don't have that type of GIFs. GIFs are another good one, but again, they're very rastery, so we have to be careful with those as well. Fonts are good. Fonts shrink and grow, and fonts are responsive when we need to have them shrink and grow. So again, here's kind of an example. This is just text with a nice shadow, and we basically, if we were to shrink that screen or make it bigger or make it smaller, it's going to basically fit the device that we're currently using. It's not a very good example, but I wish we could zoom in a little closer. But the one on the left is going to be a little more. I'm sorry, the one on the left is going to be a little more detailed, because it's a very large file. It's 36.4 megabytes. One on the right is only 435 kilobytes, so it's been basically reduced down. So again, kind of hard to see, but the hairline there is a little choppy, where over here it's kind of nice and straight and streamed, and we kind of don't see a whole lot of definition here and in her cheeks, so we lose a lot of definition, very fine details. So, and that's kind of what we're doing here. So here's a small picture. When we zoom in, we can really see the graininess of her eye. So that's what this is trying to explain. So kind of going back to this chart up here. So it says when we are extra large, we have a 2x pixel density. Okay, so think about pixels tight and kind of really tight and packed together. Well, we can go do 2x, very large. We got 1x, and then large. So a 640 by 960 is 2x. So we kind of got that. We kind of got to need to find that right fit for the right device. So we got a big screen, we got a small screen, we got a large screen. How do we find the right picture size and pixel density for that particular item, so that we don't get any granular or that type of thing? So that's what we're basically trying to get to down here. So here is a 1x. This is extreme, so again, we don't have as many pixels. Here's extreme, extra large, large, and we're going to see it basically kind of get from a graininess all the way to a more defined. And here we have 2x, a 2x density, and again, we kind of get more definition as we get smaller. So comparing high definition, a regular sized image. So an extreme is, wow, that's a huge file. 1x and 2x. If it's extra large, we're going to basically get that large with a 2x density. Basically looks like it's a 1.7 megabytes. We kind of see the size, the dimensions, and the pixel density, and then the file sizes. Okay. So if we take a look at these pictures right here, so let's take a look at those real quick. So I come in here and I go to images, and here I see this picture, okay? And if I were to zoom in, you can see that it really gets rasterized, okay? So the raster gets pretty bad. So I click on the next one, and when I zoom in, boy, it's not as bad at all, because look at the definition right there. Not bad at all. I zoom in on this guy, again, really nice, not too bad. Ooh, I zoom in on this guy, wow, look at that rasterization, okay? Not good, but not bad. Ooh, that's really bad. Again, not too bad. Oh, wow, look at that, that is terrible. So the point we're trying to make here is this. We have the same picture and it's different sizes. So if I were to look at this, we can see that we have a very large file all the way down to a very small file. So we've resized it to basically different sizes. So how do we make this work as far as responsiveness? Again, if I were to have this 1.5, almost 1.6 size picture on a website and I were to look at it on a cell phone, well, guess what? That cell phone's gonna now have to download 1.6 megabyte. It might take a while for that picture to load, depending on the data speed you had and your internet connectivity, that type of thing. So really not a good thing for a phone. So what can we do? Well, one thing we can do is we can use what's called a many image solution. What does that mean? Well, what we'll do is this. I'm going to look at this guy right here. I'm going to open it up. And here I've got div data picture, data alt, kayaking, blah, 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 blah. And here it's got external image 180 by 111, external image small 360 by 221. Here is a 375 by 231, a 250 by 461. Those are the names of the pictures, but that's the size they are. They wanted to include the size in the title. 480 by 295, 960 by 591, 768 by 472, 1536 by 845. Okay, and then down here we have 180 by 111. So how are we using these? Well, if we take a look at our let's go to the book. So here we basically, again, they're showing those same types of things here. Okay, so and that's kind of what they're talking about here. So if a user is coming to your site with a large screen display, so what we need to do is find out what type of display they can handle, and we can find that out. And once we find out what kind of screen they have, we will display the right resolution picture. So we're going to have the same picture resized a bunch of different ways. Okay. If the user is coming in with a smaller screen, we're going to basically go here. If it's coming in with a old image, basically we're going to go here and basically kind of so basically what we're going to do is this. So let me give you an example. So I open this up. So here is the picture. If I do a right click and save image as, it comes up as, this is our 768 by 472. Okay, so I resize this screen. Okay, all of a sudden it will, let me back out a little bit. Okay, it's a little smaller now. I do a right click, save image as, it now says, this is a 480 by 295. Whoa, looks like the same picture to me. Well, it's not. Zoom in, got a little smaller, save image as, and here is 375 by 231. Come in a little bit more. Now let's take a look at it, and that is the 180 by 111. So here's what we've done. We've said, you know what? I'm going to find out what size screen you have, what type of resolution you can handle, and then I'm going to bring in the picture that fits that screen. That way there, if you've got a small screen, that means you probably have don't have the data speed you need or the download speed, so we're going to bring in a smaller picture, and that would basically help you with your data and the screen refresh and all that. Now, how do we use this? Well, We are going to use a JavaScript. You just go to the file. We're going to use a JavaScript called picturefill.js. So if you include this line inside of your header tag, and then you also include this picturefill.js in your that file in your particular item. So again, if I were to, I'm going to go ahead and rename this guy. And I don't think it will work anymore. So yeah, PictureFill's not even working now, because it's relying on that JavaScript to say, I've captured the screen size, I need to display this picture. Well, since that's no longer there, the code that we're trying to access to get to that is not there, so it won't display anything at all. So again, how do we use it? Well, here we have this data, picture, data, alt. So this data picture, that's going to be our key to basically utilize the JavaScript. We got a data alt, and that's basically just the alt tag for the image itself. And then we got a data src set, and basically we're telling it where that file is stored, and where that file is stored, an indiv tag. And then we have this right here, the data media is telling us, we're saying if the minimum width is 25 ems, then basically utilize this guy and or this guy. If the minimum width is 50 ems, use a little bigger one. If it can handle that size, then utilize even the bigger one. And then basically, if we are using a browser that doesn't allow JavaScripts, we are going to go ahead and utilize this guy. Okay. So here's the secret attribute, the HTML extension for adaptive images. So it's basically, this kind of talks about this at the W3C school. It says, proposing a new responsive image format. Instead of preparing a slew of raster images for almost any instance of responsive web design. So again, do we want a lower sized picture and then basically make it bigger, which is rastering, which we don't want to do? How about we basically find out what size screen you have and then display the proper picture? And that's basically what this is talking about. So the problem with picture and the secret is that they are merely proposed elements. They aren't native to the browser at the time of the writing. So again, we have to make sure that if we are using a browser that can't handle this, we have a default no script that basically goes in there. Go to the PictureFill polyfills page, so we can go here and we can get the information we need. Basically what we need is the you can read the instructions on how to use it, and basically how to put these different tags in there to utilize it. But it says make sure we have this external. Now here's matchmedia.js. That's going to utilize a little differently. I think we have a different, is it PictureFill? Yeah, what does this guy look like? Yeah, so now we're using the match media instead of the picturefill.js. So we're using a different one, and it basically does this, basically the same thing. If I were to resize this, do a right click, save image as, and there is the 760 by 472. Goes down one, and again now it is 480 by 295, and you basically kind of get the gist from there. So another way to utilize the match media JS or the picture field JS pretty much do the same thing. And again, we always want to make sure that we have a no script in case we're using a browser that doesn't handle scripting. So we've learned that we will not use a raster image, a image that we've made small so it doesn't take up much space, so that when it gets displayed it doesn't take up a lot of data. But when we try to look at that on a big screen, it's going to raster and look terrible. So instead, we basically have the same picture that we've resized a bunch of different ways and then make it fit the screen size that we're utilizing. Okay, any questions? Give me a yell. If not, we'll see you next chapter.